See out there, hopefully you can see there's containers in the no-weed garden, and that's because I'm going to grow tomatoes out there along with the melons and squash and other various things that I grew last year. And what I'm doing, my container mix is simply the containers that I had mixed in last year. You can see the tomato stems here that were in the no-weed garden. I take 2 of these, put them in here. I get rid of the tomato stems or any roots that may still be in it. I add a little bit of peat moss, about 3/4 of 1 container to it, and over there I have some aged rice hulls. Let me get my finger in it, right over there. And I add another container of that in there, and what I'm doing is just basically kind of refreshing it and trying to save on some mix. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm putting them out there in the no-weed garden. So I brought the tomatoes, eggplants, peppers out here, and I put them inside the garage so they could get sunlight during the day, and then I could close the garage and they won't freeze at night. We had freezing temperatures last night, and it's supposed to, it looks like it's going to get above 50 and stay that way for quite a while starting tomorrow. So I'm going to look at transplanting all these. These are still in the 72 cell trays and they're way too big for that, but I know I can do it because I've pushed them before. The eggplants and the peppers are already in 1 gallon pots, and we're going to up pot those to the containers outside that I showed you in the no-weed garden. I've got a timer for my water out there at the no-weed garden. I'm going to set it manually for 5 minutes just so you can see what it looks like. We'll walk out to the no-weed garden. There it is. I'm trying to block the wind, so I'm hoping you're not getting too much. And I have that timer set to come on at 7:30 in the morning and 7:30 at night for 20 minutes right now until the seeds are up anyway, because they're on the surface. The no-weed garden used to go right down this line right here, and it was comprised of this area over here. This year I added from here all the way over here, and essentially what I'm doing is taking the tomatoes that were in the no-weed garden over by the greenhouse, and I'm going to grow them here in this same one area. And it's because I'm pulling that greenhouse down now, which is losing more plastic, and I'm going to start the new one back there. But for this season, no greenhouses really, except for my grow room where the microgreens are growing, and everything's going to be right here in this whole area. Right here underneath this panda plastic is a 65-gallon container here that I got from Tractor Supply probably 5 or 7 years ago, can't quite remember. And it has a hose coming from it that goes to a wand over there. That container is filled with water-soluble nutrient, master blend, calcium nitrate, and Epsom salt, mixed like I do my Hydroponic Grows. But in this particular case, I can use it with the hose and a wand to just individually water each one of these containers as needed. And that's how I'm going to fertilize this year. In the majority of these containers, I have 3 of my own breeding tomato lines. One's called Orange Crush, one's called Donovan's Red, all in these containers here. And the third is called Regina Dawn. And those are an orange tomato, a red tomato, and a purple or black tomato, depending on how you term the color. It's kind of in between. And those are breedings of my own that I'm breeding for heat tolerance, and I brought over from my cherry tomato. I do have a couple cherry tomatoes growing in these green ones here, these green containers with wire around them. Down this one line here, this first line here, that is a paste tomato cross of mine. I'm going to try to develop a paste tomato. On the far end in these beige containers here are my parthenocarpic cucumber, next generation. And eventually they're going to have cages on all of them, and I'm going to do the wrapping technique, where I take the vine as it grows and wrap it around the container. Now I'm at the far end of my no weed garden, the original one from last year, the older portion in other words, and I'm going to go down each one of these lines here and tell you what I've got planted. We'll start with this one. This is my butternut next generation. I'm growing down this entire row here. In this row, I'm growing, let's see if you can see, yep. I'm growing my zucchini until you see that tag right there. And then past that are going to be my melons. The melons I'm just let self-pollinate, cross-pollinate to create whatever it's going to create. Down this row here is primarily the squash I called Christmas. It was, I think, line 2 or line 3 from several years ago. I'm trying to get a good striped ball. It's a vining squash. It tasted really good. A little different than Madison's Cross, which I really like. I like them both for different reasons. But I'm trying to get this line here past the F3 generation. Hopefully we can do that this year. Down this furthest line here, next to the containers, are Madison's Choice, which is the hybrid, followed by Madison's Cross, which is my own squash, fully open pollinated, meaning it'll come true every year. In between I've got a couple early prolific regular squash that I'm going to use as trap crops and check the insect pressure differences between Madison's Choice, early prolific, and Madison's Cross. We'll see how that goes. This line here with plants you see, they were in the garage. I've got Makito eggplant. I've got Louisiana green oval eggplant. I've got Gina Bella, which is a small orange bell pepper-like pepper. I guess you'd call it that. Right up here I've got a whole bunch of my own bell pepper here. Good size and good taste to it. And then down there, the final 6 or so peppers are California Brine next generation. I think it's F6, maybe F7. And this final row here are overwintered plants. I've got one of my breedings here. I just want to kind of follow and see how it does. A couple others, well, actually all 4 of those. I've got a pepper that I'm potentially considering crossing with California Brine. I've got some overwintered eggplant, which 2 of them are Makito and 1 of them is Louisiana green oval. And down there, the very end where my finger is, that's a camo. Just to do a comparison between it and Makito. Just a quick picture of the 2 raised beds here. I used to grow asparagus. This is actually still asparagus bed. I just didn't clean it up this year. And this was various things from cabbage to onions. Both of these are going to get removed probably this year, later in the summer. Over here I've got the peaches, and I've got baby peaches on those. This row's got some apples, Macintosh and Pink Lady. And down this row here are 4 different kinds of pears. I had some buck damage, especially on that second tree there. Just rubbed them raw and killed off part of the tree, but it's coming back. Over there is a grafted Pink Lady. And over there is a pollinating it's a crab apple. Take you up and let you look at the pond here. It's quite full, and behind the pond you can see the new greenhouse is starting to go up. I target towards the end of summer to finish that, just because I've got so much stuff going on right now. I'm trying to finish up a rental house for sale, so it's taking all my time besides writing the book and doing the microgreen grows. That's what the pond looks like. I need to start feeding again. And this is just a general look at the place. Over here are some blackberries, several different kinds. The deck is still unfinished. That's a project to do. No garden in the greenhouse behind it, along with over there the grow room. It's been really wet, so I haven't been able to mow, but obviously it needs it. That's pretty much it, you guys. This is Brent. I'll bring you along as we grow on.